were we're very happy to have you all here, but it means that we've changed the training. So we still have activities. We still want you to be active and contribute and participate, but we will be sort of telling you about the course, showing you some elements of the method, and also some of the tools and resources that we've created for you. But following today's webinar, we would recommend that you read through the documents that we've sent to you, where you will be able to find all the detail, all the resources. So you, in your own time, you can take a look, have a walk through the training. And what we plan to do is to follow up this webinar with local country-based sessions for specific questions in smaller groups, where we will be able to provide advice and signpost additional information, or just answer your questions where you have any doubts. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen here now. So yes, hello and welcome. Thank you for coming. We are very excited about this project. We think that we have designed an engaging methodology for our target learners, who are very, very important to us. So we've planned a very busy agenda for you today that you can see on your screen, and these timings are approximate. We're hoping that they will work. In such a big group, we will be trying very hard, working very hard to manage the time efficiently with you and to make sure that this is good use of your time. So to begin with then, oh no, I'll read through the agenda first. So we're going to introduce you to the project. We're going to tell you a little bit about the competence framework that we've developed, the approaches that we have included in the methodology, the assessment method and the tools that we've developed for you to use. Then we're going to sort of take you through the structure of the training very quickly, and we're going to take some time to think about which groups this will work with for you, which learners, which topics, which elements of your curriculum you can apply this training to. Okay. But we will definitely finish by 6. We also recognise that this is a very long session, so we will have a comfort break in the middle of 10 minutes or so. So we'll play that by ear. If we see you flagging, if we see you looking tired, that's the point at which we will break for coffee. So, to start off with then, I'm going to introduce you to one of the concepts from the training for those of you who have not come across this before. In the training, we are very keen for learners to develop success criteria. Now, success criteria is a way of clearly setting out what we expect and what we want to see in any learning activity. The reason that we use success criteria is that it becomes a very clear signpost for learners about what they are aiming for, what they're aiming to create, what they're aiming to achieve, what it must contain, you know, critical elements. So, but as a way of sort of practicing this technique, or using this notion of success criteria, we are going to ask you to develop success criteria for this training, okay? Which is quite brave of us, but what we want to know is, how will we know if this training has been a success? So what are you looking for in this training? What are the important criteria that we should be aiming for in this training? So I've developed a Mentimeter for you here. Could we put that link in the chat for the Mentimeter, please? So that you can click on it. And what I would ask you to do is to type in 3 words, your 3 success criteria for this training. What do you need from this training? Okay, thank you, Sylvia. Sylvia's posted the link in the chat. So if you click on the link, you can add in 3 success criteria for this training. What do you want to get out of this training?
Sorry, Hazel.
Yeah.
I posted the wrong Mentimeter. That's
Okay.
the next one. So I'm going to now put the correct.
What you'll notice as well is we're using the word cloud feature of Mentimeter. So all the learners in your groups can contribute words, and it will build a word cloud, which helps to emphasize the most popular, possibly most important words which have been contributed to the word cloud. So it's a nice sort of a visual survey tool. Is everybody able to access that? Okay. Brilliant. Okay, lovely. Good. We've got some lovely ideas coming through, some knowledge, some understanding, some tools, new digital tools, new knowledge, information, case studies, innovative practice, inspiration. Oh gosh, this is a tall order. Good. Yes. Answers, support, ideas. Brilliant. Isn't it a lovely visual tool? Great. This is brilliant, because not only will this help us to evaluate the training in terms of what you needed from it, it can also help us to plan the country sessions, you know, the in-country sessions, so that if there is something in your success criteria that we don't feel we've covered fully, we can follow up in the local sessions then to make sure you have everything you need. Brilliant. Is everybody able to access that okay? Okay, great. We'll give you a couple of minutes so that everybody can contribute.
So crazy, bro. I was shook because it was blue from Rainbow Friends.
Okay.
Pick up the blue. Can I pick up the burger? Can I stun him with the burger? Please.
Good, lovely ideas coming through. Thank you. Great. Digital schools. Ethical digital activism. I'm loving that one because I think we've got that covered. Ethical digital activism. Excellent. Yeah, cooperation, independence. Yes. New information, good atmosphere. Lovely. Brilliant. Great. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. Okay. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. So we will then look to review these criteria against our evaluation and use them in the ways that I've already mentioned. Thank you very much for your inputs there. Great. Okay, so now then, a lot of this method that we want to show you today is delivered in small groups. And we believe that the biggest group, really, to work effectively should be a maximum of 6. Now, there are so many of you that we couldn't possibly manage 10, 20 groups of 6 people. So we've organised your contributions in the following way, by your first names, okay? So if your first name starts with the letter A, B, C, D, or E, you're in group 1. If your name starts with F, G, H, I, J, you're in group 2. K, L, M, N, O, group 3. P, Q, R, S, T, group 4, and so on. We're not expecting there to be too many people. Group 5 might be quite a small group. there, but great. Okay, so that's how we would like you to contribute. So if you can remember your group number, those will be the slides on the Jamboard that we will be asking you to contribute to. Okay, so if you can just have a think of which number group you're in when it comes to adding your contributions in the Jamboard. Okay then, so the context, as a sort of introduction to the project then, when we first came together to work on this project, we were in the throes of the COVID-19 pandemic. And data was already emerging very early on that inequality in education was growing. Those at risk of disaffection and disengagement were becoming more disengaged and disaffected. The existing inequalities like the youth unemployment rate or youngsters leaving school with unsatisfactory outcomes and leaving early were increasing. You know, it was a real concern. We were losing learners and losing them fast for a whole range of reasons, whether it was caring responsibilities at home, access to computers, access to the internet. All sorts of reasons led to young people being lost and becoming disengaged. So we were very concerned about this. And this was especially challenging for vet students, where the dropout rate is higher than for other programs. Also, the training divide for the most vulnerable students lacking motivation was increasing. And it was becoming clear that there was a need for new and different competences, or certainly an increased need for new and different competences, those transversal competences which could link learners from school through college, through training and into work. So those transversal competences. And also the need to train teachers to be able to develop these transversal competences in their learners in a digital online environment in an engaging way. Because for many teachers, delivering learning online was very new. You know, that I mean, we all have plenty of experience in delivering face-to-face and in real life and in person, but to take that practice and to what we called in English the great leap online. You know, all of a sudden everything was online. We had to do everything online, and that had implications for what teachers needed to do and the skills they need, but also ways of working, ways of learning, and ways of engaging learners. So we're going to do another activity because we're very conscious that we want to keep you awake. And this is one of the activities from the training methodology. So it's about developing rules for online learning because it's a very different environment and it's much harder to manage individual learner engagement in an online environment. Face-to-face, you can just walk up to somebody and stand next to them, or you can monitor a class situation a lot more easily. So in the methodology, we have included an activity where we invite learners to develop the rules for online learning themselves. And also, because an element of this learning is about creativity and innovation and having ideas, we want a particular sort of atmosphere. We don't want we want learners to not be afraid to suggest new ideas. We don't want learners to be afraid of being ridiculed or embarrassed in front of their friends for suggesting things that might sound crazy. When it comes to creativity, the crazier the ideas, the better in some ways, you know. So what we want to do is to take a few minutes here for you to think about your experiences in online learning or your priorities for managing behavior. You know, what's important to you when you work with learners online. And if you were to create 3 rules what are your 3 most important rules for learners when it comes to learning online, so that you can clearly tell your learners what you expect, how you want them to behave. One important point I would say about this exercise is that when it comes to writing the rules, we don't want them to be written in negative terms. So please do not say, do not. Rather than say, do not talk, do not switch your camera off. We don't want instructions and guidance to be written in negative language. So if you could just spin it into a, this is what we want you to do. Tell them what you want, don't tell them what you don't want. Okay, so if you think about your 3 priorities for behavior and express them positively in a do this style, we would invite you to write on the Jamboard. So we'll put the link to the Jamboard in the chat, and on the Jamboard you'll see that there is a page for every group according to your initial letter in your name. So we'd like you to share your rules on a post-it note in the Jamboard. Okay, so if I can demonstrate this to you, if you like, let's have a look. So here's the Jamboard. So what you do here is select a sticky note,
Okay, so
write
I
your...
think, sorry,
Oh, yes.
I think we don't see your screen now.
Okay, right.
They
Oh
we,
gosh, sorry.
no,
Sorry.
that's fine.
Here we go. Right, so this is the Jamboard. So you'll see there's a sheet for group 1, group 2, and so on. But for those of you who may not have used Jamboard before, if you see, you click here for a sticky note, see on this toolbar on the side here, get a sticky note, and you can write your note and put it like that, see? So you select a sticky note, you can make it a different color if you like. Some nice colors here, and then write your rule and post it. Great. Okay, lovely. So see the sticky note there, click on that to add your rule. Brilliant. Lovely. Okay, so we'll give you some minutes to be writing your rules on there, and then we'll be asking you to vote for the ones you think are more important. Okay, so we'll give you 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes to be adding your rules there. Great, lovely. Some lovely examples coming through. Turn on camera, students answering questions, raising your hand to speak, being punctual. Yeah, lovely, great. Great. Group 4, you okay there? Using the sticky notes? Great. Great, lovely. Wow, brilliant. The other good thing about inviting learners themselves to create the rules is that the hope is they will then feel more ownership of the rules and will respect the rules more. Because, and then as a teacher facilitator, you need only say, these are your rules. You said that you wanted people to have cameras on, so, you know, everybody has their cameras on. You said that you wanted everybody to participate or contribute, you know, so the rule that they are much more powerful when the learners create the rules and expectations for behaviour themselves. So that's great. Lovely. Thank you. Shall we do a vote, Sylvia? Shall we vote for our favourite ones? Brilliant. Okay, so on the Jamboard then, where we posted our rules on the post-it notes, what we would ask you to do now is to vote. You can have 3 dots each. Now the dots, if I share my screen with you very quickly, these are the dots. Okay, so you can do a little dot next to your 3 most important. So I'd ask you to go on and vote. Actually, not 3 dots, just 1 dot. So if you had to choose just one as the most important rule for you, what would you vote for? So if I can ask you to vote on your most important rule. And then we'll see if we can select the top 5 then, which is the most popular. Yeah. Yeah. The camera one and sort of being able to really demonstrate engagement, that we are alive and listening and contributing, asking questions, tolerance, great, yeah. Smiling, yes. Looking available and ready to support, great. The turn on the camera one is, it always makes me laugh when we deliver webinars. You know, if it's a long one and people have got their cameras off sometimes, and you finish the webinar and there's always about 3 or 4 people who aren't there, but are still logged in with their cameras off. I'm sure something legitimate happened and they were called away. But that does make me laugh. Great, yes. Turn on camera, be on time, be engaged and curious, brilliant, polite. Yeah, lovely. Be in, yes. Be present, be active. Great, so we got some good themes coming together there. Lovely, thank you. Okay. And that's just sort of a demonstration of how easily we can include learners and their contributions when we're setting up the environment. But it also, creating rules for online learning for this method, doing this activity gives the learners the opportunity to think about how this type of learning might be different to traditional face-to-face classroom teaching. It requires a slightly different atmosphere and a slightly different role on the part of the teachers. You know, as much as possible, we want to inspire and empower the young people to make decisions, to come up with ideas, to develop projects, to work together, to lead their activity, you know? So that's great. And I think the rules that you've suggested here are very supportive to that end. Thank you. Great. Okay. So lovely. Thank you for that. I'm going to share my screen again now and move on with the presentation a little bit. So, okay then. So we've talked about the needs, the need for this training, or the context rather, that this training was developed within. But the need is that the whole purpose of this training is to support students to develop competences, digital and transversal and entrepreneurial competences that they will need to study and to learn and to work effectively in the digital world. I'm sure we are all aware of how fast digital advances happen and how much more and more and more of our lives are happening online. And this is likely to increase and evolve over time. So students need to be ready to be able to adapt and develop and apply their competences to meet the needs of life and learning and work in this world. So this the online training then needs to be adapted to the needs of all students. It needs to engage students and feel purposeful and meaningful and personal for the students. The activity integrates the development of transversal competences with digital competences, highly relevant. I mean, most employers today will talk about the competences that they need from their workers, the competences they would like students to develop, so that they come to work ready and that they're prepared for life in a digital world. So to support the development of these competences, this is why we have developed the competence framework and the training methodology. And the purpose is to be better at engaging students and reduce dropout. So the process then, through the process, the first thing we did was some desk research, sort of reviewing and evaluating EntreComp, DigComp, LifeComp, and different sort of versions of skills frameworks from around the world to develop our one competence framework, which is available on the website. And I think we've shared the framework document with you. We've also created this online teaching and learning methodology, which is supported and enriched with an assessment system and an assessment tool. So the learning and assessment are very well integrated in the sense that we view assessment as an opportunity to learn. It's not something that is done to the students, it's something which the students participate in, because these competences will continue to be developed throughout life. So we want students to learn and gain independence so that they can take responsibility for continuing to develop competence as they proceed through life and work. So part of that independence means that they are able to self-assess effectively, that they are able to evidence their learning and the competence that they have. Okay, so this is the framework. Isn't it beautiful? We're very pleased with it and very proud of it. It has 5 main competence areas that you'll recognize. There are various sort of iterations of this across the world, the 6 C's, but they're generally agreed to be the primary, most important competencies: communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and citizenship. So those are our 5 main areas. And underneath each of those areas sit 3 competences. So for communication, it's reading and writing, speaking and listening, and content creation, which is something quite new to communication, which has gained popularity through increased use of digital media. Collaboration, so this is about cooperating online, developing ourselves online, and also diversity and inclusion. How can we make sure that everybody feels welcome, that everybody can access material online, and so on. Creativity, we have value creation. And when we talk about value creation, we are talking about different types of value, not only financial value, but cultural value, social value. Problem solving, innovation, coming up with new ideas to solve new problems, or new ideas, new solutions for old problems. We have critical thinking, which includes planning and management, learning to learn and reflection, and citizenship, which includes well-being, and that's our own and everybody else's, ethical thinking and action, and sustainability. So that is the framework, the sort of the headings of the framework. How did we develop it then? We did the literature review and sort of developed our first early proposals, and we took those proposals to a business breakfast that we held with employers and experts working in a digital environment. We also conducted a survey to gather insights and priorities from a wider range of stakeholders. We used the feedback from the business breakfast and from the survey to update and amend the framework proposals so that they would be fit for purpose. And then when we had sort of a pretty robust proposal, we took that to educators to test it with educators in an educator cafe, and then further tested the proposals with students through a student hackathon model. So I've already talked you through the elements of the competences, the main competence areas. But further to that, we've also created a progression model. Now, this progression model sets out the learning outcomes over 3 broad levels of attainment, which we've called beginning, developing, and mastering. This is so that we can recognize different starting points in our learners. They're not all going to be starting in the same place. They're going to have what we call spiky profiles. They may be beginning elements of communication, but maybe developing areas of creativity and mastering elements of citizenship. They're going to have different levels in the different skills. But the main purpose of this, rather that it's not so much about assessing students in high stakes formal ways. The primary purpose of the assessment is assessment as learning and assessment for learning. So we've included these levels and given the differentiated learning outcomes so that we can guide learners in the steps they need to take, the actions they can complete to improve their competence development. So for example, if I'm at beginning level in ethical thinking and action, I want to know what I need to do next. So that they are descriptions of improving performance then, really. Okay, so I've got a little quiz for you now. So I'm going to stop sharing there a sec. Unfortunately, it's only got 2 questions because my free account with Mentimeter would only allow me to ask you 2 questions. And it's as much about demonstrating the tool as anything else, really. So would somebody please put the link to the Mentimeter quiz in the chat? Great, lovely.
fotofika min weeklogbay.
Brilliant, lovely, thank you. So the link in the chat now, then if you click on the link in the chat, it'll take you to the quiz and you can answer the 2 questions. We've made it nice and easy because we appreciate this is at the end of a long working day.
Okay, so I think the link I shared is for viewing the data, but not for answering the questions.
Okay, right.
I don't know if you have the
Yeah, let's have a
the
look.
link for participants. Maybe I'm going to
Let's
delete
have a
this one.
look. Okay.
Yeah.
1 sec, I'm just trying to find it now. 1 sec. Here you go. Okay, I think I've got it here now. 1 sec. I'm just getting the different quiz link for you. Okay. I'm just getting that. So I need to share this with you. Okay. Bear with me. Is that it?
Okay.
There's the link.
Yeah, but this is the link for viewing the responses, I think.
Okay, right, there we are. I think that's the link.
Okay.
With the one that ends PP7. Oh, great. Yeah, lovely. Okay, good. Well, this is how many competence areas. So there are the competence areas and then there are the competences. So how many competence areas are there? Well, good. But I really like these visual, because when you've got a big group online, you get a sense of activity. You know, when you see these things, just like the success criteria word cloud, you can see that people are alive and well and engaged. So that's what's good about this. Brilliant. Okay, good. Yeah. There are indeed 5 competence areas. There are sort of broad, big headings. How can we get on to the second question then from here? Because there are 2 questions. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Lovely. Okay. There we go. Okay, so thank you very much for engaging with the quiz there. So in terms of the methodology then, the whole purpose of the activity then, if I to introduce it, is that it's the project is it's project-based learning, and it's in groups. Students will develop a digital social enterprise, an online digital social enterprise. And the method that we use is known in industry terms as agile project management. Now, for those of you who don't know, agile project management was developed in the IT industry as a way of working to develop tools. And what makes it agile is when the project is not fixed. So it's when the project output is continuously developing and being tested and improved, and it happens through iterations. Okay, so that's because the students are creating something, they will be coming up with ideas, testing ideas, going back and making amendments, testing ideas again, going back and making changes. And this is the agile method. This is agile project management, and it's being used more and more in workplaces. So we're creating a digital social enterprise using an agile project management approach, and we call it a hackathon. Now, a hackathon is a timed event in which teams get together to collaborate intensively on creative projects. So this is a workplace method. And the aim of the hackathon is to design, build and present the most innovative solution to a problem, and then pitch the final idea, the concept, prototype or presentation to stakeholders. So that's what a hackathon is. So it's a really efficient way of getting people together and banging out some goals, you know, getting things done efficiently and quickly. And through the hackathon process happens through sprints and scrums. So these are concepts from the online world of work. So a sprint is a set period of time during which specific work has to be completed and made ready for review. And we've used sprints here with the young people as a way of adding focus, pace, and energy to the learning experience. You know, it's like you've got 20 minutes to evaluate 3 ideas starting now. You know, it really sort of, right, okay, quick, what have I got to do? You know, it's that sort of pace, energy, and focus. And also, students have no time to drift off or become distracted, because it's a very focused set of time in the sprint. Now, the scrum is a pause in the competence development where people come together. It comes from rugby. You know, in the game of rugby, when everybody has a scrum and the whole team comes in and they're all holding each other around their shoulders, that's a scrum in rugby, okay? So the idea of the scrum here is that we bring the teams together, the young people, we pause the activity and we review how's the competence development going, because individual students will complete a self-assessment and they will have individual goals. They can choose what their priorities are to be working on, and it will relate to their very personal profiles, which we'll show you more about. So in the scrum, the teams come together. This is what I did well. It's an opportunity for peer feedback, for the teacher to provide feedback, and we do a scrum at the end of each sprint. Another important element of this training is the digital portfolio. So the digital portfolio is a way of collecting evidence. Could be photographs, could be quotes, could be pieces of work, documents, completed templates that students can collect and collate and put together in a digital portfolio, which they can use to present their progress, to help them to reflect on their progress, or even to use as a digital CV when they come to look for jobs. And then finally, we are using reflection and recognition with sort of to make that progress very visible and to celebrate the progress made in developing competences. Like, hooray, Hazel's communication is so much better. You know, that literally that sort of thing, because I don't think we do enough of that, you know, recognizing learners' efforts, recognizing their work and their learning and their progress. And we will be celebrating and sharing their progress and recognizing their learning using badges, using digital badges and micro-credentials. So the students will submit their digital portfolio link as evidence for, as evidence for the badge, to claim the badge. So then, another very quick exercise, because as I mentioned briefly, the teaching required of this method is different, because we want it to be students' ideas. We want students to manage themselves. We want students to independently set targets for their competence and things like that. So the teacher's role is different to traditional teaching. The teacher is no longer what we call in English the sage on the stage. You know, the person standing at the front of the room who has all the knowledge and who is sharing their knowledge with their students. That's not the type of teaching that we want at all. We want a facilitator, a guide on the side. That's what we call it. So not the sage on the stage, the guide on the side. Brilliant. Okay, so we're going to take a few minutes here to really think about what's the difference between being a facilitator and being a teacher. And we've got a page on the Jamboard because we want to capture your thinking on this. We want to get your ideas for this. So if we put the link back to the Jamboard, 1 second. Jamboard. Let me find it. I've got so many things open on my desktop here. Right, Jamboard, bro. Okay. Let me see, which page is it? The facilitation slide now. Ah, I tell you what, we'll do this one here. Okay, so we've got to slide 5 on the Jamboard. Slide 5 on the Jamboard says facilitator versus teacher. If I can show you this bit here now very quickly. See here. So what I would like you to do is let's use yellow for teacher. So a teacher instructs and a teacher leads the learning. Okay, whereas a facilitator observes, supports. So what I would like to gather there is what your ideas are on what is a teacher versus what is a facilitator. Okay, so if you can put what a teacher does in yellow and what a facilitator does in blue on the Jamboard. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, we'll spend a few minutes there. So, and because I really want to clarify the role of the facilitator, because it's different. We don't want to shut our students down. We don't want to inhibit their ideas. So we need to behave in a particular way. The most obvious one being there is not a right answer. Yeah. It's more of a like a mentoring, coaching role, really. Lovely. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Hazel, yellow was for the teachers?
Yes, yellow for the teacher, blue for a facilitator, yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. Brilliant, yeah. Ah, brilliant. Loads of ideas. Excellent. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Yes. Brilliant. Yeah. That's great. Good. Yeah, you got it. That's the difference between a teacher and a facilitator. Fab. I love seeing all the busyness on these interactive tools. It's very reassuring. When you've got 80 names in a list, it's nice to see the activity. It's very reassuring. Okay, I'll stop sharing that for a sec. Bring it back. Great. Yeah, that's great. And it might be something that you share with your learners, you know, that they can have different expectations. If this is a way of working that your learners are not used to, it may well be worth sharing with them what the difference is in this case. You know, it's almost as if they're taking a lot of the teacher role themselves. Now, older students, 14 to 19-year-olds, should respond well to this with some support and with some practice, you know, when they're more used to it. Great. That's brilliant. Okay, thank you. Yeah, plenty of ideas there, yes. And we can summarize these and share them with you after this session, you know, so that like as a useful record, because there are some really useful hints here. This is great. Okay. Shall I share my screen for you to continue, Sylvia?
That's fine. I can do it. I can share my screen while I speak.
Okay. Well, okay.
Okay, because yeah, so far I think that Hazel has done a very good introduction about also the project, the approaches, what we aim to do. And one of the key elements also of the methodology is to bring in new forms and new tools of assessment. So in the framework, we defined a series of competences in those 5 areas that we actually want to assess, we want to measure, we want to develop them. So first thing that we need to know is where are we at? What's the level that our students have of this given competences? So we can encourage their development, and also so that students are aware of, okay, these are the competences that I can develop. These are some initial levels that I have at this moment. I'm really advanced on this given competence, but it seems like I still have some work to do on this other one. And so for that reason, we have designed a whole methodology of competence assessment, and we combine it with a tool that I'm going to show you. So the main idea is that assessment is what's going to drive improvement and innovation. We need teachers to have some tools and some elements to assess those soft transversal competences, because I think that most teachers, we think that already know how to measure the knowledge and history or on maths. We already have design tools, exams, tests for doing that. But how about soft competences? How about soft skills, and how do we assess communication, team skills for working together, for cooperating, for creating value together? So that's a bit more difficult, and having that in mind and wanting our students to also have the power of deciding, these are the competences that I want to focus on, these are the skills I want to further develop, we have designed a methodology and a tool that can support us on that big goal. So we have, as I said, designed a tool that I'm going to show you that is part of a whole assessment methodology. The assessment in this methodology that we have been sharing with you comes at three different stages during the whole methodology. I think Hazel already mentioned that we're going to be working with students on different sprints, so they can, through these sprints, develop their digital transversal competences, those digital skills that they need for learning, working, and living in a digital world. First moment where we're going to be bringing assessment into the methodology. So we have a first seminar with students where we tell them what we're going to be working on. What is the 2BDigital methodology? How are we going to implement it in our classroom? So we bring a self-analysis tool that is going to support our students in scanning their competences at this moment. That we can do it in the first seminar or in the first sprint. Then with each sprint, and we have a total of 5, we're going to give some space to self-assessment and to peer assessment. What did I do well during this sprint? What did I improve? What did I achieve? And also bringing in the feedback from my classmates is going to have a major impact on that assessment and on how I see the evolution of my competence development. And finally, we have one specific seminar, one last sprint, let's say, or one reflection and recognition seminar, where we're going to analyze all the evidence that we have from these different sprints and how I have been developing my skills. And we're going to celebrate, to claim for badges, to recognize the work that we've been doing. But as we were mentioning, the first step is going to be self-analysis. And this is the tool that we want to share with you. And briefly, because it takes time, and we're sharing with you the links to it so you can test it and you can, create different profiles, go through it and see how it works for you. But today I'm going to briefly show you how we can use it, because we believe it is a tool that has a lot of potential. Inside this tool, we have created 2 different questionnaires. One belongs to the 2BDigital skills and is the one that I'm going to be showing you today. So we have, in the framework, in the 2BDigital framework, we have come with 15 different competences that are key digital competences for digital work, learning, and living. So for these competences, we have designed 15 different situations where students can relate themselves and where they can decide how would they react in one of these given situations. They're going to give responses to these 15 different scenarios, and depending on their responses, we're going to have an idea of whether they have no use of that competence, an initial level, an intermediate level, or an advanced level, as we define them in the framework. So the first step towards it would be registering here in this tool, and you can do so with 3 different roles. You can register as a school. So let's say that you are the director of the school or the head teacher of some given branch of studies, and you're going to have many groups using this tool. You can register yourself as a school. If you're a student, you can do so as a student. And if you're a teacher, and I think this is the interesting one for us today, you can register yourself so that then you have access to your students and that you can send them the questionnaire and monitor their results. I'm going to very briefly create test 1, okay? So test teacher. This is my ID. So I'm a male of 31. I come from Croatia, specifically from this. Should be enough. And then my school. If my school has previously been registered, I will have it here and I can select it. But if not, I'm going to register my school. My school is test school, and it's in this address. We have between 20 and 40 students, and this is our contact. Okay. So with that, then I'm going to choose, okay, I'm teaching robotics and I'm going to choose the cycle of studies. If it's not registered yet, because my school has to do it, then I name my group of students as test students group. Okay, but you can name it with the name of, let's say, this is robotics second year group B. Okay. So with all this, and then we're going to create, because I've already signed up, So if we say this, I got that. 3. I accept, and I should already have, there's an empty, a number of teaching years. I've been teaching for this years. So I should have my account now. Okay, so it takes a little bit of time, especially if your center has not been registered, but you can do it yourself. And now that I'm signed in, we're going to I have created a profile of myself as a teacher, and I want to show you how it is going to look for you. So when I get in, I have my group. My group is 2BDigital. They're actually on the first grade, A. And this is my list of students, okay? So what I can do here is add and register all my students. Let's say that in my class, I have 20 students, and we can register them as easy as this. So student 3, his ID. This is a female. She's 19. She's from Estonia. And here we got student 3. We can create passwords for them. So usually just with their name, student 3, student 3. So they can access later to the questionnaire that we're going to be sending. So what I have here is the list of the students. You can already see that I have a student 3. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to assign them one questionnaire. I told you that here we have 2 different questionnaires, but the one that we're interested in is the 2BDigital one. So I select this questionnaire and I send it to all my students, okay? I see here, this is the questionnaire, the competences that it measures, and I want to send the questionnaire to the whole group. So I'll just do it like this. Okay, so imagine that I'm a student. I want to show you how it is going to look for them as well. This is me, I'm in this class, and I just received an email saying that I have to complete the 2BDigital test. So, okay, I have to do this one. Oh no, because I'm still registered, sorry. So I have to go like this. And I'm going to enter as a student. So to me, it looks like I have a questionnaire which is unsolved. I haven't answered the 2BDigital questionnaire. So I go here. And as we mentioned, what they get here is different questions, different scenarios like this one. Okay. We can check on the different answers, and I want to show you one that's a bit more, okay, let's say here. Okay, during group work at an online lesson, you are to elaborate a strategy on how to overcome stress. So which one of these actions are you more likely to undertake? They have 4 options, and these options have been developed following the framework, the competence framework. So they respond to the different mastery levels of each of those competences. So let's say I would listen to my group mates actively, and I would offer to express my thoughts on what could be interesting solutions, such as listening to stress relief music on YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to go through all of them, and when I am done, I can, well, instead of saving progress, I will have the option of sending the test. Now, normally we think that within 20 minutes, more or less, even less, I think that a minute per question should be enough. Students are going to have reflected on all these scenarios and their potential answer to them. And now again, I'm going to show you how it is going to look as a teacher. So when I go to my group, what I have is that for the 2BDigital questionnaire, I have one student that didn't respond to it, one student that already solved it with all the different steps. And for example, we have here Alejandro, who says check-in. Why is it check-in? Because we believe that sometimes we as trainers and as teachers also have a view on students' competence performance that is worth taking into account, because we've been working with them for a while, and maybe sometimes they select one option, but we think that if we can complement their answers with our knowledge about their competences, we're going to have a more accurate final result. So what we have here as teachers is that we can say for each of the 2BDigital competences, reading and writing, speaking and listening, content creation, according to the framework, what's the level that we think Alejandro has? Okay, so he has initial for this, but he's intermediate here. He has absence of competence here, initial level here. So when we finish, when we go through all of this, what we're going to have is this. It's solved because we have Alicia's answers and we have our evaluation as teachers. And this is what we get. We have this spider web where we can see the different levels of mastery that Alicia has in the 15 2BDigital competences. This is like a very visual, we think, way of seeing the results. And here what we see is that she did this evaluation right today, but we can send her the test time after and we'll get a new spider web here on a different color where we can monitor the progress. So if in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks after some time working with her, we want to check where she's at, we can resend the test, the questionnaire, she will do it again, and we will be monitoring her progress. What we get here is actually a description of each of the competences. So what do we mean by reading and writing? So read and write using digital tools, or communicate and listening in a different range of digital tools. And here we're going to have the details of the evaluation. This is what she got after following the questionnaire, and this is what she got from our side. Okay, so we said that she has an initial level, an intermediate, absence of competence, initial, intermediate, and here is the global evaluation, so that our evaluation has some power as well. But it's not always 50-50. In some cases, well, in most cases, actually the students' scores in the questionnaire has more importance. It's about, I think we made it for 60 and 40%. Okay, so this is how we can actually view her scores, and we can download a report here. So we can share this report with her, and she can reflect on her own competences. So we think this is a key start point. If we want students to develop competences, they need to know where they're at. Am I at a good point in communication, digital communication, or reading and writing? It seems like I need to improve my reflection on digital environments. But is it important to me? We want them also to prioritize. Of course, we can always improve and we can master all competences, but we also want them to select those that are crucial for them at this point. So which ones are more important for me? I think that even though I have a decent level, let's say, of cooperation, online cooperation, I really want to master this because this is of key importance for me. And also, here, I think that, well, my well-being online seems to be a little bit poor. Maybe I'm overusing technologies, or I'm not paying a lot of attention to my online behavior. So this one is also important for me. And from there, they are going to face learning from a different perspective, because they are going to have learning goals based on their actual levels of learning, of competence development. So as I was saying, that was the first step towards evaluation or monitoring of the competence development. But then we want to bring some different assessment insights during each of the sprints. So after doing this, in each of the sprints, after we got to do some work, after we are thinking about how to create a business idea to solve this problem and whatnot, after each class, after each sprint, we want them to, again, do some assessment. And at the end of each sprint, they're going to do some individual assessment, collection of evidence, which, how can I prove that today I improved a little bit my collaboration online? What's the evidence? Is it the recording of a class that we were doing online? Is it a screenshot of me with my mates in a digital classroom doing this or that? What's the evidence of me doing this in improving my competence? And we also want for them to get some peer assessment and some peer reviews. So the way that we're proposing this in the methodology is for them to have some questions at the end of each class or of each sprint where they can actually get to see, okay, so what things have I learned, or what should I do in another way in the next sprint so I can improve my results? But was I valued by my group mates? Was I objective with them? At what level of mastery did I work today in the 3 digital competences that I want to improve? These are some examples. Of course, this is flexible and you can use others. But the next thing that we want them to do is to also get feedback from their mates. Sometimes we have an impression of us doing things in a certain way. Oh, I was great at communicating today. I did it great. I smiled while we were online, and like I encouraged my group mates, but maybe they didn't have the same impression and they thought that there is some room for improvement. Or the other way around, they think that you were excellent and that you should really keep on this way to improve this competence. So we want them to also go through some peer review or some peer assessment. We have some recommended tools that we will, they're available in the documents that we have been sharing with you, and we're going to test one of them today as well, so that they can also do this peer assessment using different tools. And finally, what we want them to do is to gather all they have got out of their individual assessment and the peer assessment into one document that we've created, which is the journey folio. It's like a digital portfolio where they can gather all the evidence of them developing their competences. So I'm not sure if you can see. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to share again. Now, can you see are you still on the PPT, or can you see the journey folio now?
Yes.
You can see the new document. Okay. All right. So this is the journey folio, which we can also explain to you a little bit more later. But I know. Sorry, I'm terrible at working with 2 screens. Now.
I put a link in the chat, Sylvia, to the portfolio for viewing, sure, so people can click on the link and have a view of it.
Yeah, I think that would make it easy. There you go. But the document is this. So at each sprint, we can get students to think about their goals for that certain sprint. So what are the personal goals that they want to achieve during that sprint in terms of competence development? And also, what are the goals as a team? So they do this first reflection before getting started. And then this is where they are going to be reflecting after each sprint. So, okay, what did I learn today? What did I do good? What do I think that I should focus a little bit more on? during the next sprint and so on. They can just go here and write on their journal, but we want them to integrate the feedback that they get from their peers and also any digital evidence of their experience during that sprint, what they did well, if they sent an email, if they did a specific task using a new digital tool, if they used a survey or anything that we can gather as digital evidence, we want them to put it here. So at the end, they're going to have this portfolio of evidences and reflections on what they have developed that we think can be a very powerful tool for showing in different contexts the development of their own competences. And I think this is it in terms of assessment. So we have the tool, we have the journey folio, we have the different moments for assessment. And that's something that we're going to be integrating as a routine in each of the sprints. So I think that the next thing that we were going to do was to actually go sprint by sprint and see what we have in each of those, but maybe we can do a short 5-minute break before that. Yeah. So I think that with 5 minutes to refresh, we can be good. If it works for you, we can be back at 4:25. Okay. And Hazel is actually going to, well, together we're going to be walking you through what is a sprint, what are the different phases in each of the sprints, and how we envision the whole 2BDigital methodology sprint by sprint. Okay.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Sylvia.
good.
So 5 minutes then, and we'll come back just to give you a chance to nip to the loo or grab a glass of water or a piece of fruit, something like that. And we'll see you back in 5. Lovely. Thank you.
Okay. See you.
Okay, so if we come back then to carry on with the training walkthrough element of the afternoon. Okay, so let's have a look. I'll show here now. So then this is an overview of the methodology. Then we have 2 seminars, what we're calling training seminars. There's one for students and one for teachers. So obviously, when you come to deliver this, you would use the student seminar. Then there's sprint 1, which is an icebreaker, developing self-awareness, getting to know ourselves and each other better. Sprint 2 is looking at team roles and the different jobs that need to be done to be innovative. Sprint 3 is our hive mind coming together to share ideas and boost ideas and develop and appraise them. Sprint 4 then is the actual hackathon where we really begin to refine the digital social enterprise idea. And then the final sprint is iterating and implementing. So that's when the groups really define and clarify their ideas and prototypes, whether that's a product or a service or a process. But we wanted to draw your attention to the common elements, because you will remember that I said that the learning and assessment is intertwined, is woven together. The learning and assessment is integrated, because even though we are calling them assessment elements, they are actually opportunities to learn more and further practice and develop competence. So the common elements to each of these sprints then is that there will be the initial goal setting. So this is what I'm going to focus on. And we encourage individual learners to choose up to 3 competences each to focus on. Then at the end of the sprint, there is a final reflection in the scrum. So it's like, oh, well, how did I do on the goals I set myself? How did we do as a team in the activity we did together? We providing feedback to each other and identifying and gathering evidence. But also what's consistent and the same about each of these sprints is the duration. Now, you can deliver these sprints very quickly and make them really fast paced, or you can adapt them to take longer. So it's possible to adapt the activities to the size or length time available to you in your lessons. And then for each element of each sprint, there is comprehensive guidance. So we have a document which is the whole sort of methodology in terms of the lesson plan and the structure and the steps to take and the activities and the links to the resources. But also we have additional guidance. So if, for example, you've never done success criteria before, there's guidance on success criteria and for each of the different elements. Okay, so this is the student seminar then, and you'll see that we've presented each sprint in the following way here. So the objectives of the student seminar is to introduce them to the whole process, to the overarching, the overall method, and the teachers and students can ask questions. But it's also to generate interest, to secure that initial engagement and motivation and energy for the method, but also to get them excited and energized about creating a digital social enterprise. Okay, Sylvia, to you.
Okay. So after we get learners to know what we're going to be doing, how we're going to be working in groups. As we mentioned, we can do this competence self-assessment either during that first seminar. So we tell them what we're going to be doing and we take advantage of that first moment do the competence analysis, or we do it as the first time during the first sprint. Because during the first sprint, what we want students to do is to identify their personal competences, but in a digital environment. Really, it is a lot about self-knowledge, but how am I online? When I am working digitally or learning digitally, what's my digital human being kind of? So we want to think about that, and we want to relate the competences that they have to different life experiences. So really to put them into context. We want students to understand and recognize these competences and also the interest that they have on digital environments individually and as a group. And we also want them to evaluate the competence development and set their own goals. So that's more or less what we aim for during the first sprint. As we said, these sprints can be about we can adapt it, but between 2 to 3 hours, more or less. So what we propose for this first sprint is to do the competence assessment, to support them on setting individual goals for this sprint. So, okay, knowing that this is what we're going to do in a sprint, and there is a lot of self-knowledge and group knowledge and team identity, what is it that I want to develop? Which are my 3 goals? And then what we suggest here are 3 different activities, but we're going to actually do one of them together. The first one is an individual ikigai. This is probably something that most of you are familiar with. Ikigai is this Japanese philosophy where your main your main talent is at the core of what you love, what you're good at, what others need, and what the world is looking for. Like those things. So what we actually wanted to do here is to do that digitally. So we wanted to know what are those things that our students are doing very well online, what are their passions online, so what they get online, which are those things that they can do for hours and hours, and we want them to complete an ikigai. First, an individual one, but then we want them to actually do a group ikigai. So we have that ikigai on the board, on the Jamboard, and we're going to again ask you to contribute in different groups. But maybe before I can send to you all the instructions for this ikigai, which are on a new template. Because as we said here, what's important for us is that we work on those competences, but on digital environments. So that digital approach is very important when we do the Ikigai. You can, if you want, you can already go to the Jamboard again. I think you have the link on the chat, or maybe we can refresh that one. And I'm going to send to you a PDF with the instructions that we can follow. So those instructions are mainly some guiding questions that can walk you through the Ikigai. Okay, these are here. I'm going to show you how they look, and I'm going to share the link. So this is the Ikigai, the digital Ikigai. And as we go through it, we see here a little explanation of it. So what do you love to do? What awakens your enthusiasm and passion when you are online? What online activities can you do for many hours without really noticing? What gadget, technology, digital tool could you talk for more than 20 minutes without interruptions? Or what are you good at? What would you say that are your digital talents? If there is something that you naturally excel at when you are online, or if you are not sure, you can ask people around you to give you their opinion of, hey, what do you think that I do great when we meet online, or when we are working on a team and we are virtually meeting? What digital things can you get paid for? Which are those ICT skills that you have and that you think can boost your professional career? And also, what does the world need? So knowing that what we do can help the world be a better place, and that really relates to what we're going to be working on later as responding to SDG challenges. Which digital skills you have that can support that purpose. So more or less, these are the instructions. I have then some comments here to interpret the results. So once you've done it, how can you get your mission, your passion, your vocation, and your profession out of this Ikigai? I'm going to share this document in case you need references for it while working on the Ikigai, but you can already work on it through the Jamboard. And maybe, I don't know, we can leave 5 minutes to this so you can each contribute and experience the idea of working on a digital Ikigai.
Are we doing it on the mural or the Jamboard? Sorry, Sylvia.
No, I think on the Jamboard you created.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
There we are. Right. Okay, I've put the wrong. Right. Let me make sure that I've got the wrong. The right.
Or I can share the link for the mural. I can share the link for the mural. So we try a new tool.
Okay.
I'm going to share. Okay, just to make sure.
So what we'd like you to do is to add your ideas against the Ikigai. It's an opportunity for you to explore the model in more detail. Great, there we go. Let's have a look.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Okay, so you have the link for the mural, and in the mural, this is going to look like this for you. As it opens. So you get the Ikigai here, and you can start contributing to it. So regarding your passion, you can come here, you can bring a sticky note, and you can go down to it and write, okay, so what am I good at? Some of the questions were, what kind of things can you be talking about for hours? What digital tools would you be able to explain to a group of many people, and they would really engage with your explanation because you're great at it? So go through the mural and contribute to the different sections of the Ikigai, because this is actually what we want students to do. We want them to first do some reflection on their own, but then to bring those reflections about their individual passions, individual skills to a group mural where they can actually create group identity and work for team goals. Because in every sprint, they're going to be working in groups. We are grouping students in groups of 5, 6 students, and they're going to be working together. So with this tool, what we expect is that they have some ideas from the beginning of what they have in common and what are the strengths of them as a group. So go ahead and comment on it. The mural is another collaborative tool as Jamboard, but it has some more, I think it has different features that can make the templates a bit more attractive. So it's another one that we encourage you to use during digital teaching. I think you can create your own templates, and you have some already as reference ones. So yeah, let's give it 5 minutes for you to contribute on it.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think there's some people that cannot join. Let me reshare the link. That's weird because you shouldn't need to have okay, workspace members.
Sylvia,
Yes,
there are some people using the Jamboard as well.
That's
okay.
That's good.
That's good. So if you, for any reason, you don't have access to the Moodle, go and use the Jamboard. Otherwise, I'm going to try maybe with this second link as visitors, maybe. Let's see. Check with this second link that I just sent you and see if you can use it.
This is all good experience for those of you considering to use Jamboard or consider using Mural. These things happen. These things always happen. Internet drops. You know, there is, and it takes some experience, I think, not to panic at that point. Definitely. It's when you're sort of trying to manage a learning experience and something goes wrong. This is a very, really useful opportunity to model resilience and staying calm, and it's not the end of the world and nobody's died. So, you know, let's just find another way through it. But it's always a good idea to test tools beforehand, which we did as it goes. And even then, sometimes things will not always go to plan. And it's a good thing to be able to model to our learners recovery. You know, what do we do when things go wrong? And it's a really important feature of entrepreneurial learning to embrace failure and to celebrate failure. You know, what do we do when things go wrong? One of the key competences in the EntreComp framework we drew this framework from, in part, is resilience. You know, that recovery. What do we do? Dealing with ambiguity, uncertainty, and risk. Now, our learners live in a world which is more uncertain, perhaps riskier, but definitely more ambiguous than it has been for a very long time. And it seems to be getting more like this. So it's really important for us to give learners opportunities to fail and try again, to make something that doesn't work and then to try again. And so I think working with IT, rather than being terrifying, can be an excellent opportunity to model that resilience with our students. You know, it's and what do we do when things go wrong? There we are. We had a backup. It's lovely. So is everybody able to contribute ideas where they want to, either on the mural or on the Jamboard? Lovely. Now we can see you all. Good. That's great. And I just love seeing everybody moving around the template. I really love it. Great.
Of course, in this case, both with Mural or with Jamboard, what would work out best with students is to use different templates for different groups. So once you have the model and we can share this template, we will share this template with all of you. You can create copies, so you have one for each group, and then you can save all the results for individual groups.
Yes, they've got all sorts of brilliant templates in Mural. The account is free, and there are templates for SWOT analysis or project plans or all sorts of standard work type activities. There are templates already made for you to use there. It's also what we like about the Ikigai is we're talking about engaging learners and for learning to be purposeful and meaningful. You know, there's a very real reason for doing this activity. We want to meet real needs. We want to address real issues. You know, this is real world learning because students at risk of engagement can recognize exercises which are not meaningful very easily, very easily. Okay. Also, what I love about the Ikigai is it gives a really broad, holistic view of a student, you know, because and it values the student as an individual. It's a way of recognizing the differences that people have and acknowledging those differences as something very rich. We all are different and we all have something to contribute. But the thinking is, with the Ikigai philosophy, that if you can manage to position your activity in the center, so it's what you love, it's what you're good at, it's what you can be paid for, it's what the world needs, it's happy life. Happy life. It's the sweet spot. Yes, please, yes, use this template for your learners, definitely. It's in the methodology as it goes. And you'll notice that in the digital portfolio, one of the slides is about the Ikigai. So students can take a shot or create their Ikigai within the portfolio because it's a really nice model or diagram of what's important to them, who they are. And yeah, great. Lovely. And it's also a way of including those sorts of traits or qualities that are harder to measure. You know, for example, people have put kindness against what the world needs. And this model accommodates that. It can take a very broad view of what's important to us, how we feel. You know, it isn't just about technical competence. It's what we care about, what's important to us, our values and our priorities. Lovely. But I'm hoping that you're finding these tools reasonably, you know, logins and access aside, permissions aside, I'm hoping that you're finding them quite easy to use. You know, once you've used a Jamboard and you can post a Post-it note, you can use Mural because it's the same, you know? Right. Lovely. And you can get a really rich sense of a person from one of these completed. It's really nice. And how often do we ask learners what we love, what they love? You know, how often do we say to learners, what's important to you? What do you want to do? What are you good at? What do you think the world needs? Great. Okay, lovely, thank you. Any questions about the Ikigai or anything that we've said so far? Okay. Should we press on, Sylvia, there we are, great, okay.
Yeah.
So we're on, I'll share again here now.
So, yeah, okay. So this
Okay.
is more or less what we're planning for the first sprint, or this is our proposal. So students get to work on their individual Ikigai, but then they can build on their team Ikigai, completing a good one, like the one that we just did. Ideally, you would have had some time to thought individually about your strengths and then some time to put it together. And then we would be working on a pitch together, presenting our group idea. Our group identity. So out of this Ikigai, we can really get our mission, our vision, our passion, as it's indicated in the right side. So we would encourage students to communicate online, to prepare their speech and present their identity. We also want them to create rules for online learning and working, kind of what we have been working at the beginning of the training today. And of course, at the end, they would have some time to go through their portfolio or their journeyfolio. We refer to it with different names along the methodology. And they can reflect on what they did good during this sprint. They can get feedback from their mates, and they can have that collection of evidence of what they did. Here you have some tips on things that you can also do, teaching guidance. So at the end of the methodology document, and this is the long methodology document that we shared with you yesterday, we give you some more information on why and how to group students, different formulas for making those groups of students to work together, about the Ikigai, about how to create a good presentation, and what are the main rules for online working and how we can encourage students to create them. So before each sprint, we encourage you to read the teaching guidance and get some more information, because then that's going to support the implementation of the sprint. And more or less, this would be it for sprint 1, which can be developed in 2 to 3 hours or even less if you need to adapt it. You just need the Ikigai survey, the group Ikigai, the journey folios, which should be one for each student, and of course, some platforms for online collaboration. And for the next one, yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Okay, so if I talk you through sprint 2 then, so they would begin sprint 2 reflecting to set new goals in the scrum, giving each other advice or encouragement. And then the first task in sprint 2 is to complete, it's a questionnaire. It's an online questionnaire around your digital personality, to really focus the mind on digital competences and the different uses we use digital competences for. And then we share the findings, and then there's a project planning exercise. And it's in this sprint, we're looking at how do we identify tasks and allocate tasks within a team according to people's strengths. And what do we do if we have any gaps in our team profile? So it's very much about sort of undertaking that exercise to plan some activity and allocate tasks according to people's interests and strengths, using that information from the self-assessment and from the Ikigai. Okay, so then there's guidance on project planning and giving feedback, how to get the best out of the scrum. What does feedback have to be like? That it has to be specific and positive and constructive. So yes, there's plenty of guidance for that as well. And then you'll notice again, the sprint finishes with that reflection. So how did we go with our goals? So we, in their scrums, each smaller group the learners will give each other feedback, and then they will identify evidence to put into their portfolios. Okay, Sylvia.
That was sprint 3. At this point, we hope that students have already had some time to look inside themselves, so they have gained some self-awareness, and they have also identified how we can work in teams where different personalities coexist, and they have different tasks depending on their interests and what's good for everyone and what each of them would like to further develop. So we already have the teams. There's some team identity, some individual self-knowledge, and here they're going to get to know the outside world a little bit more. So now we know about what we want, but let's see how we match it with the needs that we have outside. In the third sprint, we're going to be focusing a bit more on the SDGs. We want to identify user needs in a digital environment, which challenges are there in our environment that we can try to solve or to bring some solutions to through technology, through different technological or digital ideas. And here in this sprint, we also want to obtain and evaluate feedback and to reflect again on the competence progress and how they're doing. So the first thing, again, they got to set their goals individually and as a group for this sprint, what they want to learn, and we go to a flipped playlist on SDGs. So this means we're going to be showing them and teaching them what the SDGs are and trying to relate them to different maybe projects that are there in their environment, so they get some ideas of, okay, these are the SDGs and these are some projects that are already trying to solve this gaps. So there is going to be some problem identification and brainstorming, and then we want them to get together and of course to decide, okay, so for each of them, which of the SDGs or which of the social challenges that they see in their environment is important at an individual level, but then they have to do this group options appraisal and see what's important for them and a team, and which are the challenges that they are going to be focusing on as a team. They're going to present it to the group again. So we had already worked on the communication and the pitching skills on the first sprint. And here again, we're bringing them to present that challenge that they're going to be working on. So here, mostly what we need is the journey folios, some brainstorming tools. You've already seen Jamboard and Mural, but then as we want them to get together into us, we want them to agree in one solution. There are some voting tools, online voting tools. You have them here, poll units, Menti, which we have been using at the beginning, so they can do all of these activities online. For the teaching guidance, we have grouped some content and some ideas on flipped learning. What is it and how to do it and why it is important to work with this methodology. Of course, on SDGs, why and how to work on them through this social entrepreneurship methodology, and different brainstorming techniques that we can bring to the class through the different digital resources that support them. Hazel, we go to sprint 4. Hazel? Hey.
Sorry,
maybe
I was on mute then.
no, no,
Sorry,
no.
Sylvia.
No, no,
Sorry.
no.
There we go. I'd actually started talking then as well to myself.
No,
Right,
that's fine.
sorry.
All
Okay,
right.
right. So sprint 4 then. It's about using an empathy map to identify needs in the community, exploring. So they've got to, at this point, really start to nail down their ideas. So whereas in sprint 3, they had a number of different ideas and had to do what we call options appraisals. What are the advantages and disadvantages of each of the ideas? Really drilling down with critical thinking and creativity, assessing and evaluating the feasibility of different ideas that they've come up with. So in this sprint, then they select one. So we give them some inspirational examples of social enterprises and how those social enterprises meet sustainable development goals, and how the hackathon is going to work in this instance, in this particular sprint. So they have to choose one idea, and then they develop an empathy map to really drill down into what the needs of the people are or what the issues are. And the empathy map, we've got a really nice mural for that as well, haven't we? The empathy map. Brilliant. So we've got a mural template for you to complete there. And it's really about sort of getting inside the mind of the user, the person who we want to help, the person we are creating the solution for. Then, having completed the empathy map template, the group will build a business canvas for the social enterprise idea, and then the group presents the idea for feedback from the other groups. And as a part of this gathering feedback, they create a little survey using digital forms, whether that's Google Forms or Microsoft Forms, very quick feedback from the people in their bigger group, not their mini team. And then they can use this feedback to further iterate and improve the solution. So I can show you, I'd like to show you, I'd like to show you the templates. One sec. My lights just.
Yeah, I think I sent the link also, so you can check out the so you can check out the mural template for the empathy map, and just take into account that you can modify it as you like, because these are templates that then you can modify the questions, You can edit them and add new questions or new options that are more interesting for your group of students.
But this Canvanizer is really nice, isn't it? And the mural empathy. I'm just trying to think if I've got the links.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to?
I think I'm sharing now. Yeah.
Oh, great. There we are. Thank you. Yes. Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the empathy map. I mean, this is the kind of empathy map that you have probably seen and that you're probably working with if you're teaching any entrepreneurial subject or skills. The good thing about this one is that you can work on it in collaboration, and you can have students putting all their inputs on it in the same way that we were doing with this with the Ikigai one. So again, here you have some guiding questions that of course you can tailor to whatever you are working with, but they're pretty accurate. So who are we trying to empathize with? Which is the target group that we're trying to help with the idea that we're working on, or with the main SDG that we're trying to contribute to. And here, so what are their pains, their fears? Why are they frustrated? And of course, we have to always bring here some of those digital elements. So what technology is not existent that could actually support meeting these SDGs, or what kind of technology is missing in this specific aspect that we could create? Again, with the games here, we have some questions for what they hear, but really the good thing about this one is that you can modify the template and add as many questions as you think that can be interesting. And then again, the groups can, each student can contribute to it, and then you can just download it and have one template for each of your groups. Now, the other tool that we wanted to show you and that we think can be interesting is this one. It's Kanbanizer. I don't know if any of you have worked with it before, but again, it's a way of bringing technology into the classroom. So I'm going to share the link with you, and I'm going to show you how this can be used. There we go. So here with the Kanbanizer, you can create your own canvas. Well, you can do it for free, or you can get the upgraded version, which is the Kanbanizer 2.0, but there is really no need for that. So your students can select the canvas template that they want to work on, depending on if they're designing a business or more like a service, or if they want to work on something a bit more general. So they can choose different options. If we go for the business one, again, here they can choose if they want to do like a complete business model canvas, or if they want to work on the lean canvas, lean chain canvas, change the SWOT analysis. So we have all different options. And we go here, and we title it 2BDigital. We want to start the Kanbanizer. Okay. Again, what we can do here is they're going to have different questions, so the key partners. And if we click, we have the questions and we can start contributing with our different answers to it. Now, I should be able, if I send you this, you should have access to this, so we can try and work on it together. I'm going to share it, and you let me know if it works. So just to show how we can, again, work on this together. I think you should have access to my specific template. I'm not sure, you don't have access, I'm not logged in.
Sylvia, we need to log in order to view us.
Okay, well, so maybe we can just see how it goes from here. Okay, But yeah, once the thing that you can do is you have your students logged in the Campanizer. So then with the link, they can all contribute to all the different parts of the canvas. So again, they can be working on it from different locations and at different times, and all of their ideas are going to be reflected on this scheme. So once they click here, they get like the key questions or the guiding questions that they can follow. And they can click on the notes. So here I'm giving you the main idea is for this activity, we're going to do a survey. And that what kind of survey? So we're going to send it to the different schools or just to our class. You can even upload an image here if you want to make it a bit more graphic. So with the 2BDigital logo. Okay, not this time. But yeah.
I think it's, but we're obviously trying to show you different tools that you can use. We're not recommending that you only use one. There are very many tools available to you.
Absolutely.
And it's possible, you know, say for example, you really love Mural, you can do everything in Mural. If you really love Jamboard and find that easier, do everything in Jamboard. You know, but we have created these templates for you as ones to have a go at, to give a try. But it's quite possible to adapt and use different tools as well. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Sylvia. Great. Okay, one sec. If I go back to showing, where are we now? On which one? Okay, so with then on sprint 5, which is the iterating and implementing, they start again with the new goals, refreshing themselves and reminding themselves what is their focus, what are their goals for improvement in this particular sprint. And they use the feedback gained in sprint 4, the feedback from their presentation and from the surveys, to review that feedback and improve their business idea. So then they present their ideas with a bit of a plan in terms of the next steps that they need to take. And then the whole group all together update their success criteria for digital social enterprise. And then using these criteria, the whole group vote on the best team idea. So there's like a winning idea overall, if you like. And again, sprint 5 finishes with the reflection and the assessment portfolio to record the experience. And then, so there's the reflection and recognition then next. Do you want me to do that one, or shall I pass over to you, Sylvia?
So you can go if you want, and then I take over for the last part. That's
okay, brilliant, great, okay. So then in the final reflection and recognition seminar, then each team does a presentation on how they've developed as a team, and then individuals will share what competences they have gained as individuals from the whole experience. So it really is thinking back over what has been learnt, what's been developed, and team progress and individual learner progress. But also it's an opportunity for learners to showcase their digital portfolios, because different learners will use different evidence and may even want to use the digital portfolio in different ways, because the portfolio we've given them is really just a presentation, right? It's just a PowerPoint presentation. So, but we're using it as a portfolio where there is one slide per competence, supported by evidence and peer endorsements, if you like. So where they've had peer feedback in their digital portfolio, they can become, these quotes can be used as endorsements. Bob is an amazing content creator, or whatever it is, whatever feed, or Bob did a fabulous job on our presentation. You know, so they can include these quotes to really enrich their personal profiles. And then at the end, we are encouraging learners to identify 2 stars and a wish, which is 2 things that they're really proud of, that they've achieved through this experience, And the wish is one eye on the future, what they would like to do next, what they would like to do, what they would like to improve next. And then they will all be awarded with a digital badge in recognition. But we can't show you them yet because I haven't made them yet. I apologize, but they will be available in the next week. So we can send you through the detail for that, what you know, as soon as they're ready. So it's very much about celebrating progress, sharing evidence, patting themselves on the back. That's what this one is about. Okay.
So, well, I think that more or less with this, we have gone through the core of the methodology. We have seen the framework. We have seen the evaluation and how we're planning to do it with different tools. So through peer assessment, individual assessment, the journey folio, the assessment tool. So all the elements that we have for that. And then we've seen the methodology step by step and what we're suggesting to do in each of the sprints. Of course, it's flexible and these are things that you can change. You can add more activities that you know that can fit well into that. But this is just like a suggestion of some activities and some tools that can be useful for that. Now, the goal that we have with this is to have created something that you can find useful for your classroom, whether it is that you're teaching entrepreneurship, entrepreneurial skills, digital skills, some kind of professional counseling, whatever it is. And at this kind of final point, because I think that we're kind of reaching the end of the training, what we wanted also to know from your side is which elements out of this that we have been sharing with this, that we have been sharing today, you think that can be useful for your practice and for your learners. And to give us some examples of where do you think that the competence framework can be used, what uses do you foresee for it, or what elements of the assessing and training methodology do you think that you can fit in your training practice and how? So again, we're going to ask you once more to go to the Jamboard because we have prepared these slides in which we would like you to contribute. I think they are from the 12, we have different, okay? So from the 11 to the 14, you can contribute telling us. So for the framework, we think that, for instance, it can be very useful to plan different sessions for the development of the given competences so that you can see, okay, these are the different levels, progression levels of the competence. And I think that I want my students to reach the advanced level of digital communication by the end of this course. So you already know what are the different steps and how you can walk them there. Or out of the teaching training methodology, I think that, well, the sprint one is very interesting and shows some elements that I can use on my digital skills classes, or it's more related to the entrepreneurship lessons that I'm doing. Where do you think that the different elements fit in your teaching practices? Which of this do you find useful? And just to get some insights that can help us also to see how we can fit all these elements that we have created into concrete and specific teaching practices. Okay, so again, we're going to leave some time for this final contribution here. Okay, and you can tell us where do you think that, which elements you think that can be suited within your teaching practice. Okay. Okay, so we can do a quick review on different feedback that we got. So the first thing that we have is the competence framework. The framework is actually on its final version, is revised, super revised, and has already been edited and printed. This one you can access it on our website. And yeah, we see multiple purposes of it for different teaching practices, but to check on some of your answers, it can be helpful to reflect about competences, to monitor improvement. Yes, and actually, I'm very sorry, but I think I missed to explain you one function. Well, no, that goes to the tool. I'll explain that to you later. But yeah, of course, to monitor the improvement following the different progression levels. It can be helpful also for course design. I think of course, the way that we see the digital competences are as transversal competences, and we think that this can be developed no matter which subject you're teaching. So our proposal is to do that together with project-based learning, with some social entrepreneurship projects, but these are skills that you can promote in a variety of subjects, as you can use the tools that we have been mentioning and some other resources that are available in the methodology. Okay, we can use it for mentoring for sure, coaching purposes, to reflect, to have a personal profile and individual goals. We think that's very important. And we think the best way of setting competences goals from student side is to do it having the competence framework in front of them, so they know what it implies to be on a certain level. So if they are in teaching and writing, let's say, they are in a level, or here in a collaboration. So if in cooperation they are in a discovery level, that means that they can cooperate using different digital collaborative tools. But if they want to get to an improved level, it means that they can contribute to group decisions, that they're flexible and constructive when they're online, that they can avoid conflict, and so on. So they actually know what it implies to be at a certain level and what it takes to get to the next one. So definitely that's something we can get from the framework. Some more comments here on the framework. Use it for online projects, for work experience, to identify different types of competences, reflection on the evidence. Oh. About the methodology. Team roles, yes, we think it's something very good that comes out of the self-knowledge of their own competences. It's that they get to know the importance of building teams where all the competences are represented, and where we have some people that really master something and we can learn from them, but they also get some awareness of what they can teach to others, where they're extremely good at. Love the Kanban-ize, it's applicable for certain areas. The Ikigai is useful for discussion. Of course, the good thing about these tools is that they bring together the inputs of all participants. They can actually participate anonymously sometimes if they want to, because they are not identified. The ideas are anonymous, they just go there, and they can be at the end all valued as just ideas, independently of whom they come from. So that's a good thing. Good group tools. Bring innovation. Okay. And as for the competence assessment tool, yeah, the thing that I forgot here to show you is that so you can get an individual report, and I showed you how you can do it, but you can get a group report. So if you want to see, okay, what's the level of my students here? As we saw, we had already two we only have this one solved. Okay, but when we get another one solved, and when all of these are solved, we can get individual reports here. And these are the competences of these certain students, but we can also know what's my group level of competences, because we might have one student with very low, with a low level of cooperation, but overall we're working with a group of students who are very collaborative and they have a high team spirit. So we can encourage that certain student to get more involved in the team to develop that skill, for instance. So we think this is another very valuable asset of the tool that I forgot to mention earlier. So it can be cool for goal setting, useful for scanning the competences, interesting for generating curiosity, for working with students. Well, we'll have a look at this. And again, I think that we will share the final results of the Jamboard and all the ideas that we came up with. We'll be sharing those to you. But yeah, we definitely see that there are many different uses of the different elements of this methodology. Now, to wrap up today, we wanted to tell you, well, we hope that you found all of this super interesting, and that you actually want to test some of it with your students, that you want to pilot this methodology, you want to go and pilot the the 5 sprints with the 2 seminars with your students. The next steps would be to decide how you're going to do it. So, okay, I have 5 groups of students, and I think that with this one, this methodology would be very cool, and I can definitely use it for this certain group. And in which subject? Does it fit with my classes for digital skills, or is it more suitable with the entrepreneurial skills, or how is it? Well, what we encourage you to do is to get in touch with the national contact points, because we're very happy to support you in the implementation. During the following months, we expect that the methodology will be tested with different students and with different teachers, and we're very happy to support that implementation, that testing. So please don't hesitate getting in touch with us so that we can customize a little bit this whole methodology into your own needs. Some teachers might have classes of just 1 hour. So how can I develop a sprint of 2 hours? Well, we can see how we can make 1 hour version of each sprint, or how we can split one sprint into different sessions. We can support you on tailoring it to your own needs. So please, if you're interested in testing some of it, or testing just the tool, or testing just the framework, let us know, because we will be very happy to walk you through the implementation. The steps for implementing are this. You have to also have all your documents ready, which we are sharing with you, an introduction to the digital project, to the assessment, to the methodology, and then the main documents that we were sharing with you yesterday, and which are here. The framework, the teaching and assessing methodology guidelines. This document is not final. We still have to fine-tune some elements, but we're hoping also to have it translated to your national languages soon. And here you can get, for each sprint, the objectives, the overview, the recommended group size, and the time. You will get links to further information, and well, everything that you need step by step. Then, of course, you have the guidelines for each sprint at the end. So before getting into sprint 1, you can just go and read everything you need to implement it. Okay. And finally, we have also developed this guideline to the questionnaire, where you can see how you can register as a teacher, although we have walked through it today. Okay. And how you can select the questionnaire, assign it to your students, and so on. So we think these documents will be key for you to test it with your students, if you decide to do so. And okay, and as for implementation, the plans that we have for the first test of the methodology are as follows. We're having the training for trainers now, and we're planning to pilot this methodology with students and with teachers during October, November, and December. We would like to get some feedback on your experiences during November and December so we can improve the final versions of the methodology based on your inputs after testing. And of course, we will be issuing some certificates of participation and some badges, as Hazel mentioned, both for teachers and for students. Now, before we finish, we of course have a survey that we will share with you, like a satisfaction survey. How did it go during the training? But we wanted to show you a new tool as well that you can use for quick evaluations. So we want to do with you a quick evaluation using a new tool that is very easy and that can be very cool for students as well. It's called Retro Tool. And you have already some templates that you can use. So am I mad, sad, or glad? What did I like, learned, and lacked? Or start, stop, continue for things to do. So we want to work with one liked, learned, and lacked. And we want to ask you to go to the beginning of the training where we asked you about the key elements that you were expecting out of this training that we pictured in the word cloud. And we're going to create this retro tool where we actually ask you, what things have you liked? What things have you learned? And what things have not happened and you have missed? What we're going to do is share this one with you. Copying the link and I'm sending it to you. And we hope to get some valuable feedback on how it went through this tool. This one doesn't require registry, as we have tested, but let's see. We hope we will have no surprises. Okay. Is it working for everyone?
Yeah, it's okay.
Hi, sorry, I don't know if it's working or if it's that I don't know how to use the tool.
Okay. No, I'll show you how to. Well, it's okay. So I'm going to copy again the link that I sent you here. And let me share my screen. So when you go to the link, you end up having a panel like this, which is the retro tool we created. You can actually see the others' responses. Okay. But here in this one that says new ideas is the ones that are, no, sorry, why can't you, here, sorry, your private section is here are all the other answers. Here you can type your answers, okay? Yes. So this is what I liked. This is what I learned, blah, blah. Okay, and you post it doing like this, and you can post as many as you want. and what I lacked, what I would have liked to see that I didn't see. Okay, so you post all your ideas, and at the end, you're getting like this board with all the feedback. And some of these templates are really, really cool. And you can also create your own, and it's a free tool.
There we are. Those are the success criteria from earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Great.
Great.
Very nice.
Good.
Okay, lots of feedback here. Nice. Okay. So, next steps now.
Survey. 1 sec. Let's put the survey link.
We have a survey, a little bit more in-depth survey to really get to know what you liked, what you didn't like, what went well, what not, so we can improve, because we're hoping to do also other trainings in the future, so that will be very useful. Please, it will take a couple of minutes. We would really, really appreciate if you can take the time to answer them. Then participation certificates, will be issuing them to each of you who have participated. But as we have had a lot of participation, that might take a little bit of time. Okay, so please expect them for next week, but we'll be sending them to you. And national follow-up groups in 1 or 2 weeks, that depends. I think that in this case, each national contact point will let you know. What we want here is, again, to follow up. So after we have given you all this explanation, we have gone through the tool, the methodology, the assessment, what we can do for testing it with students. We want to solve any doubts that you might have, and we want to support you in using it. So these national groups are going to be reduced. Like there will probably be like 10 people or so in each of them. In some countries, we had a lot of participants, so maybe they will be a bit more numerous, but they will be smaller groups, and we can go in detail in things that you didn't understand very well, things that you want to test out, and how we can test those things out. How can we support you to pilot all of this? So I think that pretty much this is it. I don't know if they have shared the link to the survey in the chat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's there, I think that will be the final step, to please give us your more in detail feedback, because the retro tool is very cool, and we wanted to show you how to use it, because we think that for quick feedback on certain things can be a very cool tool, but the other one will help us a lot as well. And I think this is it. I don't know if any of you have other things that you would like to comment on, or if there is any questions. I mean, we still have some extra time for those. So if you have any questions that you would like us to respond before leaving, you can raise your hands and we can go through them. Yeah, Christina.
Thank you, Hazel and Silvia. Can I ask something from the participants, just to try and fill in the form, the survey, as soon as possible, now that you have the training fresh in your mind, so we can have your feedback? Thank you.
Yes, because we do have some chance to make changes and tweak and improve it before we finalize everything. So it really is very important to us to get your feedback as soon as possible, because we have the opportunity still to amend and change and improve things in light of what you say, in response to what feedback you give us. Well, thank you so much for your time and attention and participation and contribution and resilience in overcoming the frustration of getting on to all these different tools. Svetlana, your question, thank you.
Sorry, I think we got a couple of questions.
Great.
We had one that said, what are your ideas on burnout regarding on learning mostly online? Burnout in teachers, I guess.
Can I ask now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to ask about documents. In my email was written about documents you will receive to me, but you will send to me, but I did not receive these documents.
We can resend all the documents following today's session.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because we'll have everybody's names and emails, won't we, in the registration form?
Okay.
So we'll resend, definitely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I would like to thank you very much for such interesting training and new useful information, and I really hope I will be able to try it in my work with the students.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yeah, and regarding the burnout question, when we started the project, it was because we knew that one of the things that was really triggering burnout in teachers during the pandemic was the lack of resources and ideas for teaching online. All of a sudden, they were, like teaching in regular classrooms, face to face. They could see their students every day and see their progress. And all of a sudden, they were working in the distance. Not all of the students have the same level of digital competences or access to digital technologies, and that was very frustrating. And at the same time, teachers were really needing new resources to develop the competences of their students, because I think that some subjects is like, let's say, history or maths, that you have to translate to students certain concepts and ideas, but when it comes to competences, how do you know if they're developing those transversal competences? How can you measure them? How can you see what your students' levels are at? And how can we progress on that? So we thought, and we realized that one of the main reasons of burnout in teachers was that really in this transition to online learnings, they were having no tools for facilitating online learning. They had some of them, of course, had a lot of knowledge on how to do it because of their own skills and interests, but others didn't have really useful resources for fostering collaboration online. All of these tools that we've been seeing today, Moodle, Jamboard, how to encourage voting and coming to decision-making online, bringing participants in, engaging students in online learning, that was something they were missing and that they found very stressful. So with this methodology, what we aim precisely is to lowering a little bit those levels of burnout because of lack of tools and methods for engaging students when we have to teach online. I'm not sure if I answered the question, but more or less, I think that was the idea.
But our other thinking as well was, for those of you who don't have the space to trial the whole method, we were hoping that you could either use the whole experience or just pick out little pieces and try little elements, different elements of the method in different subjects for different purposes. You don't only have to take students through the whole piece. You can use the first and second sprints just for icebreakers with new groups in any subject potentially. So I would encourage you to take out elements that you think would work for your students and just use small pieces as you need to, as your learners need. Good. And we finished early. So, hooray, you have 15 minutes. Brilliant. But please fill in the evaluation form in the survey, because we still have a chance to make those improvements before people pilot. But we invite you all to keep in touch with us. So even if you don't pilot the whole method and you just test a few elements, we would be very interested in hearing from you and getting some feedback from you in terms of how your learners found it. What did the learners think? Because it's been a lot of work and a lot of detail, but the thing, our guiding light has been that the students will benefit, that the students will enjoy, that the students will find it purposeful and meaningful, and it'll be of value to them, and it will feel real, you know, and it'll be a good bridge into the real world. Thank you. Brilliant. Keep in touch.
you.
So is that the end then? Yes, that's the end. Yes. Lovely.
That was a pleasure. Great, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hazel and Sylvia.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.